Brave Maker Show is hosted by Tony Gaffestone and Christina Jackson. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
Thanks for tuning in. It is showtime, everybody. Welcome to the Brave Maker Show. My name is Tony Gaffestone. I get to be one of your co-hosts. I am an actor and a writer-director. I'm based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I love talking to filmmakers and creatives all over the world, and we have really special guests for you today. But before we do that, you know my co-hosts and I always do some banter back and forth.
Hey, what's going on, Tony? We do have a really exciting day. I am an actor, writer, comic book writer, to be more specific right now, hence the King T'Challa top, and I'm coming from the East Bay in Dublin, California, and I'm sitting in my studio in front of a plant wall covered with butterflies, and I'm kind of rocking a Frida Kahlo look today. So, yeah. Oh, and my pronouns are he, she, they, and I'm an African-American woman sitting in a Will power chair, and that's the Will Model C. You got to check it out. It's all-terrain, throw it in the trunk and go. I can't hear you. Very strange. Thanks, Nick, because I thought it was me for a second. So yeah, while Tony figures that out, I'm going to talk a little bit about, I guess I should just jump in with how I've been braving my way this week. So we have another Brave Maker crew member who is awesome. His name is Daquan Richards, and he has a phenomenal series called Breaking Barriers. And he has had some amazing guests on his show. He has George Lopez coming up. I'm watching season 1, and he has John, let me get his name right. Professional actor Sean Patrick Thomas, who you may have known from The Barber Shop and Save the Last Dance. And he is on episode 1, season 1, dropping some serious knowledge bombs for all of you actors and artists out there trying to break your own barriers to make your dreams come true. Hey, Tony.
I think I'm back. Oh, gotta love all of the technical difficulties. We had some beforehand. Now we're here. Whatever. I think we're good.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, you were saying braving your way with breaking barriers. I am going to put that into the chat. So anybody who's watching live or on the replay for our podcast, Breaking Barriers by Daquan Richard is a part of Brave Maker. It's really exciting. How I'm braving my way. Why do we ask this question every week? We ask this question every week because if you are trying to create art of any kind, trying to be a filmmaker, it takes one decision, one step, one task at a time in order to move your project forward. And this week I had to say no a couple times, and I kind of had to stop a couple things. I was going in a direction, kind of like, you know, you're trying to get somewhere and you come upon a dead end, you need to make a U-turn to get out of that dead end. I was finding myself going to a dead end multiple times. And whether that was like with a person who wasn't responding, I was like finding myself, why am I begging a person to collaborate? If they don't want to collaborate, then I'm not going to use my energy toward them. So I just made some decisions this week that felt like this was braving my way. I had to stop and move forward and find some other way to get this done, because I'm trying to get 3 feature films right now into production, 2 different short animations. Like, you don't got time to waste your energy when it's a dead end. So that was my braving my way. Thank you for bearing with me with my microphone. If you are braving your way in some way, please share with us what that is. We would love to know. And we'll put those links in the show notes for things that Christina was talking about. But people are loving your flowers, by the way. So you gotta see that.
Crystal.
Yeah. We have a good amount of people watching live today, which is exciting. And I'm going to tell you that today's guests and work kind of has wrecked me a little bit today. I am going through some stuff with my own kids. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I will rewatch their short today. And I was feeling all sorts of emotions, but it's good. Art is supposed to make you feel. So let's welcome our Oscar nominated film team. We have director Will McCormack,
welcome,
Michael
Will.
Govier, and
Welcome,
producer
Michael.
Maryann.
And Maryann. It's so great to have all you guys here. This is great.
Oscar nominated film If Anything Happens, I Love You is on Netflix. Congratulations. 2 weeks ago, it was really fun to watch you all get the nomination. Some of you had some live videos going to see you watching your television or iPad, wherever you're watching, and see you all excited. That was super fun. I felt with you how exciting that was. But yeah, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, yeah. So we have to know, how did If Anything Happens, I Love You, how did this come to life? And I want to ask each of you, why was it important to bring this animation, bring this story to life? And let's start with Will.
We're so excited to be here with you guys. Thanks so much. You know, as Los Angelinos, true to form, we met in an acting class in the Valley, Michael and I. And we became fast friends, and you know, we both discovered that we're writers, and we would meet for avocado sandwiches in Griffith Park and talk about what we were working on and what we wanted to wrestle with in story. And Michael pitched me this really beautiful image of these shadow souls that were separated from their human hosts, and they couldn't connect because they were in too much pain. And it was a really sort of beautiful kind of Jungian distillation of what grief and loss felt like. And I was very moved by it. And then we kept seeing and reading and hearing about the, recursive, tragic gun violence that happens over and over and over again in America. And we thought, what would it be like to tackle a story from a parent's perspective of losing a child? And that was really the genesis of the project. We took a year to write the script because it was very sensitive material. And then the movie really became a reality when we met dynamic producer Maryann Garger, who knows how to make movies and get movies made. And that was really the genesis of the project.
Well, let's hear from you, Maryann, on that before we go back to Michael here. Mm-hmm. You have a dynamic producing superpower. That we love that. Tell us about that.
Love it. I have very dynamic directors and very dynamic writers and very talented partners here. But it was came off a big commercial film at the time, and I really had never done anything independent. And so I was taking some time off and thinking about doing something along that lines. And then a mutual contact that Will and I have, Kia Kiadian at UTA, told me about their project. And I read their very incredible, very heartfelt script. And, I was in. The script was powerful. And also the subject matter. And I have a couple of teenagers, and I thought this is something really special and something I would be really proud to be a part of. And so luckily, Will and Michael had me. So,
Michael, talk about your experience here. So you and Will met in acting class, which means you're both actors who are also producing content, which I love. That's something we love talking about at Brave Makers, being that multi-hyphenate, those triple, quadruple threats. But talk about how that relationship happened and how, it seems like you brought this soul shadow idea to the surface here.
Yeah, it was so fun. I met Will in this class, and this is something as far as the actors out there. Will is an acclaimed writer in his own right, and he wrote the beautiful film Celeste and Jesse Forever. And so on the first day of class, I go in and they give you sides. I'm going to go up and read them, and the sides I get is from this film Celeste and Jesse Forever. And I didn't know, I had not met Will yet. I didn't know who was literally sitting right next to me. And so I go up and do the sides, and Will leans over to me in class, and he just goes, "Hey, you did a really good job with that scene. That was really nice." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man." And then it was like after class, we're walking out to our cars, and Will leans over and goes, "Hey, I should probably tell you, I wrote that with Rashida Jones." And I go, oh, because I had seen the movie,
Oh.
but I didn't know what the writer looked like. And he had been sitting next to me the whole class, and I just said, thank you for not saying that before we started. Because
No big deal, right?
Yeah, I don't think I needed that extra pressure.
I was like, that scene that you were great in, I wrote.
Yeah.
You're like, actually, the words on the page were really good.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of
missed
help.
a couple of them, and so I got some notes about your performance.
That's amazing.
So it's like we had this fast bond right away, and it was wonderful. And then what I really wanted to do, and Will and all of us wanted to do, was just kind of show what grief looks like, and kind of show those like quiet moments of grief. And that's kind of what we were explored through the film. And like you see that, I think we all are grieving in our lives at all kinds of different reasons and different times. And I think we really wanted to show those little quiet moments in the story, like when the daughter finds, or when the mother finds the daughter's shirt, like these just little quiet moments of grief, and kind of reflect on that.
Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful, intimate look at grief, the way that you captured it, and the style of the animation and the spirits. Can you tell us, how were you moved into that direction to use that type of animation? Very minimal color, but the color that was used was so impactful. How did you make those decisions?
We talked about color a lot, and we wanted the film to look and feel like grief. And we kind of had a cardinal rule: if anything didn't need to be in frame, it was stripped away. So even after watching right now, you can see like there's no real backgrounds. There's a background drawing and watercolors behind it, but this is actually seen in the bedroom. But all you're seeing is the bed. You're not seeing what the whole room looks like, because we really wanted to hang a lantern on the story and on the emotion of that moment.
Beautiful.
I watched that today, and I was picking up a lot of the what colors you did choose to use. And Bravemaker has just started an animation team, so I'm shouting out our animation team. I know Sophia is watching, and hopefully Trevor and Andrew and Tabitha and Hannah Joy. Sophia, I hope you're all watching. But I will talk a little bit about that. I've watched a bunch of your other interviews, how you all came together. It was, you didn't come with any money, even though you're on Netflix now, but you came really with the idea, the passion, the talent. So talk about some of those decisions when, it sounded like it was happening around one of your kitchen tables, if I remember correctly. I forget where, but it was pre-pandemic when everyone was meeting together. But can you talk about how some of those decisions came to be, regarding why you chose to introduce the blue color first and that kind of thing?
Yeah, we talked about color a lot, and one of the main things is the blue, especially. We wanted to add color to show what the daughter had touched. So it's kind of like her life, in garments and lives, and things. It's items that she had touched, and because she had touched them, they kind of were charged with her life. And we wanted to kind of do that, especially through the blue, the shirt, the soccer ball. The shirt and the wall that the soccer ball broke right there. And so that was the main thing. And in the beginning, we wanted to have very muted colors so it looked and felt like grief. Then when you went into memory, all of a sudden you start to see more colors and vibrant colors, but it's still through the present day lens of grief. And that's why you see on the edges, it's still washed out, because the parents are really sitting right there in the bedroom, having that big discussion. Even though they're remembering the past, it's still through the present day moment of that loss and that pain.
Yeah, it was exciting to move towards minimalism. We were going for total parsimony and style, and we wanted the film to feel completely lean and just focus on the emotionality. And it was an exciting style to commit to. I mean, it was a little daunting because in a movie with no dialogue, there's very little on screen deliberately. But we just thought that we could do more with less, and it seemed to work. It also works in the sort of memory section of the film when the parents talk about moments from their daughter's lives, because I think when you remember the past, you don't necessarily remember everything that was in the room, but you do remember how you felt. So it was a sort of daunting style to commit to, but once we did, it was really rewarding and exciting as storytellers.
We are so happy that you did commit to the less is more. I was really fascinated. Can you talk a little bit about your choice to use the song 1950 by King Princess?
Yeah, that song was in the boards from the jump. I mean, we loved that song, and It's a beautiful ballad. It's melodic, but also wistful. It's also very cool. And we thought that, I think that the girl is very cool. I don't think it occurred to us that we would ever actually be able to get the song because, again, we're working on a shoestring budget and King Princess is very famous. However, we were able to contact her team and also ultimately her, and they loved the movie and loved the message and the style. So they gave us a deal on the song, and she ended up Instagramming about it and I think tweeting. So we're super stoked to have a King Princess song in our film because we just love her and love her music, and it just felt right, and we were lucky to get it.
Wow, that's amazing. Talk about reach for the stars. If you want a song, reach out and contact and just ask. I love that.
We have people chiming in. I'm teary already. So beautiful. Good work on your film. Did you use Toon Boom or Photoshop? You want to talk about? We have some animators who are asking some questions about what you used, how you created it.
Yeah, we used TV Paint was the main animation program that we used, and then we also manipulated image in Photoshop and like scanned backgrounds, and we handmade backgrounds that were watercolor backgrounds, and then scanned them into Photoshop and then put them into TV Paint, and then we edited on Adobe Premiere were the main programs that we used.
Awesome. Yeah, if you're watching live, please feel free to add your questions or comments. I always love hearing, like, making stuff is so hard. It takes so long. It takes so much money. There's so much rejection. You put so much heart into it. But obviously on the other side of it, now Netflix has it on their platform. You have an Oscar nomination. Forever you'll be known as the Oscar nominated filmmaker. Like, that's just so cool. But can you share a little bit about some of the obstacles that you had to conquer? Maybe Maryann as producer, bringing this to life. There's always so many things that come against us. Can you start and share with us?
I mean, we had every obstacle you could imagine. We had, we had no money, and we had no equipment, and we had no resources, and we had no artists, and we had thousands, if not millions of no's, constant rejection all the time. And one thing that really helped us move the needle was the three of us decided no matter what, we're going to meet every single week. And we would meet at Michael's kitchen table or Will's kitchen table or mine, and we met every single week, and we would put our heads together and we would brainstorm about, okay, how can we find storyboard artists? How can we find some equipment? Who might we have in our personal networks that we could call upon for either editing or for possible financing but yeah, I mean, we were completely homespun. I mean, we even borrowed some person's like 6 or 7 year old computer so an editor could do a cut. And at one point we had another editor kid who was in school at the time, and we just got help wherever we could. We just kept asking, and so that was like sort of the beginning of it, and we just supported each other through the constant no's and how to recover from it. And so to this day, because of this experience, when I get a no now, I don't miss a beat. I just like pivot and move. And the three of us
love it.
had a lot of experience to get to that point.
One of the things people keep asking us, because now we're on Netflix, we're on this bigger platform, and which is amazing, and we're so very grateful for it. But people ask, like, what's it like being part of Netflix animation? And I go, well, I don't know. I've never even stood in the building, because it's like we really made this thing completely independently, and then they are now, distributing it. So it's like the film was 100% done before they even got involved. And so I think there's sometimes an illusion when you see something streaming on those platforms that they built every piece of it. So it's just a different kind of thing. I mean, hopefully one day when everything opens up, I get to go in and visit Netflix Animation, but not yet.
Michael.
I hope so. I hope so.
Knock, knock, knock. Hello,
yeah.
Do you know me?
Hi. I did that. We did that short. Can we look around? See what their salad bar's like?
They have really good snacks at Netflix. I've been there. There was an interview with Kobe Bryant a long time ago, and he took thousands and thousands of jump shots a day. And I remember some reporter asking him, do you take so many so that your percentage goes up, so that you make more? And he said, no, I take so many so that I'm okay when I miss. And like, for me,
awesome.
Yeah, for me, it was like a good parable for show business, right? Because mainly you're missing. And so it's how you react to how you miss. You get it and you shoot again, right? And you just keep taking shots. And I felt like that. I'm sorry, that's a basketball analogy. I'm sort of a basketball junkie, but like, it really is that way on this movie. Like we missed so many times, but we just kept going. And, for me, as a storyteller, it was really rewarding because you don't take the no's too hard. You actually, it sounds maybe a little bit masochistic, but you begin to embrace them. And you begin to envelop them as just part of the journey. Like doubt and rejection is inexorably part of the filmmaking process. And so you begin to accept them and almost embrace them on this movie. We're like, okay, next.
Absolutely.
And that was great, Yeah,
we learned to have trust in the no's, meaning that it just wasn't going to be a good fit. So we're trusting their no, and we'll figure out something else.
I really appreciate that as something to learn. I hear you saying something about being consistent together. As you were consistent together as a team, sounds like you had a regular date schedule on the calendar, which we talk about all the time at Brave Makers. It's got to be on your calendar. You got to make it, our dreams don't just fall from the sky. We have to work for them. So it sounds like that was part of it. And then the idea of Maryann, every no is actually a yes somewhere else. You just got to find it. I think I hear you saying when you get a no, that's actually a good sign. That's why keep knocking on that door if that person doesn't see what you see. I think that's actually really great. It's another way to look at it. It's actually a very positive way to look at it, which I have a hard time. Kate saying, love that trust in the no's. Yeah, I think that's really, really important. And then I
just want to add to the no. The no is better than maybe. The worst answer is maybe.
Yeah. So true.
That's the worst. In limbo.
Maybe's just a delayed no, usually. So, like, I so appreciate when I'm trying to sell something or pitching someone, like the courage of no and the respect of the no is something I actually love.
I love that.
Yeah.
The courage of no.
Yeah.
You did you got Laura Dern to come on too. I'd love to hear a little bit about that. And then we definitely want to talk about the theme of the film and beyond the grief, the idea that this is really striking for us as Americans, what's going on in our country. But can you talk about how you got connected to Laura Dern? I'm just a big fan of her and her work.
Yeah, Laura Dern and her producing partner, Jamie Lemons, were emphatic yeses. We showed them a cut of the film, and they loved it and asked, that whatever that they could do to support the film, they would do. And we said, well, do you want to come on board as executive producers? We love and admire the work that Jamie and Laura put out into the world, and now we're part of that universe. And Jaywalker Pictures, their company, is doing great things, and Laura's an iconic actor and producer, and Jamie's a powerhouse producer. So whenever you're making a tiny independent film, it's beneficial to have powerhouse producers in your corner. And that's just what they are. They're diligent and they're passionate and they're really connected to the film. They're not these producers who just attach their names. They're part and parcel, part of every fabric of the film now. And it's pretty cool.
Super supportive people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about, you're all as storytellers, heart behind the fact that this film really is pointing and poking at us about our mass shooting problem, our epidemic of hate, especially in this past week, another one in I believe Orange County area. it's just devastating. I'm a parent of 3 kids, and our kids are going back to school next week. And I felt like there's been a safety I've had this whole year. As hard as it's been to distant learn, I haven't feared that they might be a victim of a shooting. And I'm so glad our school just put, they spent the year making the school safer. So there's this huge ironclad fence now when you walk up to the school that some people kind of balk at. But as a father, I was like, okay, it gives me a little bit more sense of hope for the safety of my kids. But this is a real thing. So who would like to start just about, the message of this film and what it's saying to us?
I think the film starts from a place that we can all agree on, just like what you're talking about. It's like, we want all the kids to be safe in school. We don't want, children, to die, at schools. And we don't want that. And that also extends, it's like, we also want people to be safe. It's like, if you go to the grocery store, or if you just go to work, and I think that is a starting point that I think we can all kind of agree on, and then kind of have greater conversations from there. Because all of us have our own family that we want to go home to, and our family that we want to see. And I think if we can, and I hope the film is trying to bring to begin at a point of agreement, and then we can kind of have these bigger conversations out of that. It's like, how do we do that? How do we protect that? And I hope the film gives you some kind of action where then go, you know what, this is a real problem and it's been for a while. I'm going to go to do something, and I'm going to go be part of the change.
Maryann, Will, any comments?
No, I feel the same way. I have 2 teenagers, and they're in high school and in middle school, and and they at different times have expressed fear, especially when one of these terrible, terrible tragedies happen. And so as a parent, I've had those discussions with my own kids, and, really was, the reason why I wanted to be involved. Support.
Yeah, I became a father during the making of this film, and it's unfathomable to me that you can send your kid to school and he could not come home. That happens. That happening once is one too many times. But it's one of the cool things about storytelling that is by no means endemic to just our story. I'm just talking about art in general. Like, I'm a pretty right-brained person, and I sort of experience the world through film and art and music and literature, and that's kind of what speaks to me, is story, really. And there's something great about storytelling, that it removes this tragedy from statistics and the news cycle, and there's an intimacy that you get to experience with it. And so really, this is just sort of our artistic rant on this subject. Like, we wanted to explore the story through grief and through loss. And I think too many times, people talk about the loss and not enough about the life. So this was our offering to this subject.
Thank you for that.
So we usually start the show with your journeys. I know that Will and Michael, you guys are both actors and you met in acting class, but I want to back up and throw the question to Maryann first. How did this journey begin for you? Where were you born and raised, and how did you get into filmmaking?
Well, I am from a very tiny town in rural New Hampshire, and I ended up coming out to California after college because a roommate lived out here, and I had no exposure or interest in film or entertainment, but soon developed that by living in Los Angeles, and I was lucky enough to get a job on Pocahontas at Disney, and that's where I started. And then I was worked under Jeffrey Katzenberg for many, many years, and he started DreamWorks, and I was like one of the first people there. And so I got to learn a lot, which was really great because DreamWorks was a startup company back in '95. And so I got to learn every aspect of animation and story and filmmaking. And so I spent most of my time at DreamWorks and at Warner Brothers. And then that's when I took a break and met Will and Michael.
I love how you
Very
just
cool.
fell into
Pocahontas.
those things. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I checked out your IMDb and you got so many great credits, and you're working with Jamie Foxx on a project coming up. That's fantastic. So fun.
Yep.
Very
Who's
cool.
next on the origin story here?
Yeah, we
Where-
have Michael. Can we hear your origin story? Yeah.
Sure. I was just my parents fell in love, and I was just so happy that they
Sperm and an egg.
It was
and
that's the beginning. It's magic. It's
that's a great animation story right there.
I grew up in northern California in Redding, and then I lived in the Pacific Northwest a little. Then I went to Chicago, and I kind of cut my teeth acting in Chicago and writing, doing all kinds of stage plays and writing stuff there. So I did a bunch in Chicago. Then I eventually moved out to Los Angeles because I was working in commercials and stuff in Chicago, and that was going quite well. And I wanted to see what LA was like and what opportunities were here. And so then I showed up, and it just has been quite good. And there's just like a lot of opportunities here. I was kind of hoping it wasn't, because I love Chicago. I was kind of hoping that I would move to LA and it would only be like maybe like 10% or 15% better as far as the opportunity. And it was substantial. So I go, well, I guess I have to move where the work is right now. so that brought me here. And then it was just, but the whole time I had just been writing all kinds of different things for the stage, and then switching to the screen as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Chicago
Very
as well,
cool.
Michael. So I share a
Yeah.
love for the Windy City too.
Love
great.
Chicago, my friend.
Love
Oh my
it.
God. Oh.
So much to love. So much good food and entertainment and people, but not so much the weather. So California, it wins. It wins.
Yeah, I sold my snow shovel when I moved, so that was a big moment. And I was kind of like, maybe I should keep it, because this has been like my best friend shoveling out my car for like a decade. I should probably keep it, and I sold it. I'm like, treat it well, and I get to someone, and the whole thing.
You're the first person I've ever heard sold a snow shovel. That's amazing. Like I love that. I love that. It's so fun. All right, Will, your turn.
Oh man, it's a long story, but
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I'll give you the short version. I mean, honestly, I think I always wanted to be a writer. When I was little, I won a poetry contest when I was just a boy in my town. I think I wrote this poem about a dragon, and the dragon killed my mother, and then I killed the dragon. It was kind of a heavy revenge story for like a little boy. But I remember I wrote nonstop when I was little, and I was obsessed with story. But I remember everyone telling me that I was going to be a writer when I grew up. And I think I was like 7, and I caved from the pressure and I quit. And then I went to college, and I fell in love with theater, and I became an actor, and I got a couple jobs, and I did some movies and some pilots and some TV shows. And I love acting. I mean, my wife's an actor, my sister's an actor, and my best friend's an actor. But I think that at some point my acting career just wasn't as fulfilling as I wanted it to be. And I think I had always secretly wanted to be a screenwriter. So I wrote a pilot, and I sold it to Showtime. And then my friend Rashida Jones and I wrote Celeste and Jesse Forever, and it got into Sundance, and all of a sudden I became a writer. And then I've always wanted to direct. And honestly, Maryann and Michael gave me the courage and the conviction to direct. And now I want to continue to do that. But I mean, I've done everything on movies. I've been a writer. I've been a producer. I've worked in wardrobe. I've worked in transpo. I've worked as a PA. I'm from New Jersey, and no one where I'm from was like in the movie business, and to live in LA and work on movies, and it's just still really, really cool. I worked at Pixar for a couple of years, but I love all of it. And I think that they all, it's the same cookie jar. Like having been an actor made me a better writer, and having been a writer is a nice transition to directing. And I think that they're all connected. I think a lot of people are like, well, what should I do? And I'm like, do whatever you can, because it all matters. They're all connected.
Will, can you talk a little bit about what is it like directing for an animation?
To write a scene for animation?
Yeah,
Directing.
when you're directing. Directing
You
an
know
animated scene, yeah.
You know what? We spent so much time on If Anything Happens, I Love You. because we had to. The material is so sensitive, and we wanted to be really scrupulous and thoughtful and nuanced. So, but honestly, I don't think it's dissimilar to live action. You're just trying to get to the heart of something, and whether it's an animator or an actor, you're just trying to get to the center. So I think it's slightly more descriptive. And of course, If Anything Happens, I Love You has 0 dialogue, which seems easier, but is actually sort of maybe harder because you're trying to interpret a scene without any words at all. But I think Michael and I both love that creative challenge.
For those of you watching live, you need to make sure you go follow them on Instagram so you can see their moments when they got their nominations. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Michael, do you want to add anything to the directing of the animation? We have some questions about that too, about just the directing of the piece.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, we came up, through stage and theater, and it's like, and this is like the ultimate, kind of stage. You get to decide every little piece that's on it. And if you don't want that tree, you can take it off, and you can kind of just build the set out that way. And then as far as like, just any directing, it's like you're relating the emotional moments and the emotionality of these scenes to the animators. And, we created reference videos where Will and I would perform moments or looks and say, we want this kind of look. We don't want like the dad to frown here or sigh. We want it to have this more of like a moment. I'm just thinking about when the father comes into the room and sees the mom holding the shirt. This is a moment we played with a lot. In that moment, we wanted the dad, he actually has a smile. He has a small smile. And so we worked on this. He's wanted a little smile when he realizes that that's his daughter's shirt. But then there's this also kind of heaviness because he also realizes that she's not here. And we wanted to put all this full range of emotions into our characters. And we worked a lot with the animators directing that, as opposed to, every moment just kind of being like, because that's not what the film is. You're experiencing everything. You're experiencing love. You're experiencing happiness. You're experiencing tears. And I've been personally, I've been grieving, and all of a sudden we're laughing and crying about the person who's lost, and you're telling the crazy story about them, and you're laughing, and then you start crying, and it's like all of these emotions I think are tied up in grief, and we really wanted to kind of show that spectrum, and we related that to the animators as well.
It's really cool. As we wrap up here, would love to have you all go around and share kind of have a twofold question. Is now that you're Oscar nominated, are things going to be so much more easy for you? We know that's not true, but what's next for you, and what do you want to say to those who are wanting to break in, make stuff, and do what you do? So what's next for you, and what piece of advice would you offer others wanting to do this?
Well, we're going to do another. Oh, sorry, Maryann. Yeah.
No, go, Michael. Michael, go.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna do another short film. We've already written another short animated film, and we're launching that. And then we all want to, same little group. And then we also want to, we're working on building out a feature. So we're going to be doing both of those. And as far as advice I would give is like Will and Maryann and everyone was talking about these no's. Just you got to let them go. Just move past those no's. And I would say be consistent and find a story that you like, that's in your heart, and just be consistent with it and keep showing up. And and you don't have to be intense with it. It can be very minimal, so you don't have to stress yourself out. It could be just 15 minutes a day, but I'm going to do it. 15 minutes a week, but I'm going to do it. Or it's an hour, or whatever that time is. But just be consistent and show up for the work.
Great, I love that.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add is, we were told no a few times, even by Netflix, and we still kept banging on the door. And so I guess the message of the movie and the desire to get it out into the world was more important than disappointment from no's. So, just remember that. Remember what your North Star is, and be fearless, and ask everybody. And you may hear no, but you may hear yes. But for sure, anything that you want to do, any project you want to do is possible. You just got to find a way to move the needle forward. Ask a lot, and then just just accept rejection and move on. Keep asking.
Keep asking.
Keep knocking.
Will.
For me, I love what you guys said. Additionally, it's you just have to enjoy the process, right? Like, it all comes back to process. You just have to fall in love with the work. Some of the happiest days of my life were building this film with Michael and Maryann. I never thought we would get on Netflix. I never thought we'd get an Oscar nomination. We dove into the work, and this sounds corny, but it's true. The work is always there for you. You can always show up to the work, and the work will always be there. Whether it comes out in the world as a giant success, who knows? But the work is always there for you every single day, and that was something for me that was really empowering as an artist, to know that, like, I have some dominion over that. I have control. Lastly, I'll say, with great risk comes great reward. Like, the story that you're afraid to tell is probably the one that you should write down, because that's the one that people need to hear. So if it feels scary to you, go for that, because that's probably the story that people need.
So well said.
So good. We love it. This is great. We're rooting for you. We're so glad you could be on our show. And we hope that whatever your next stuff is, we can support you and screen it and get people to follow. So please go and follow on Instagram, If Anything Film. It's right there in the chat on the screen. If you're watching, if you're listening to the audio later on replay, it'll be in the show notes. But now it's time to end with our Brave Faves.
Brave Faves. TV shows, films, books, songs, technology, clothing, podcast, food, and more. These are a few of our favorite people, places, and things. Brave Faves.
All right. Every week we got some suggestions and faves. We're going to start with you, Christina. What do you got?
Awesome. Sticking with the theme of animation. If you're not familiar with Steve Cutts, race over to YouTube, type in Steve Cutts. You got to check out his animation. This is again, very powerful, very cause-driven. Start with Man. I highly recommend Happiness as well right after that. Phenomenal storytelling brought to life with some incredible minimal animation. Use of color is very powerful. Just all of it. They're only 4 or 5 minutes, but you have to watch them over and over and really see what he's doing here. And it's like, wow, So that is my Brave Fave for the week.
Christina texted me that this week, and I was watching it as I was moving, as I was dealing with all these other things. I was like, dang, another thing I got to think about. Like, so good. I love that. Michael, what do you got?
I love that film. I've watched it so many times. That's a great one. I want to say it's so good. It's so good. I want to say Hank's Bagels. I know it's crazy, but I had never been there. And my friend said, hey, they're having a rough day. And I said, yeah, I'm kind of a little blue. And they said, what do you do? And they said, do you know what's been getting me out of the pandemic? And I lean in. I'm like, wait, what? You got the secret? And they said, Hank's Bagels. And I'm like, wow. And I went. And it really made my day. It was a great thing. And so it was super simple. I like bagels. I picked up some bagels from Hank's Bagels, and they're in like Sherman Oaks and Burbank. So go over there and get a bagel and just sit down and have a day.
I love that. Come on.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Hank's Bagels, baby. Yeah,
Hank.
I don't work there. I just literally have been there twice, and I highly recommend it.
I love it. And they got a little fun little animation, little illustration there.
I know. How cool
even
is
more.
that?
That's beautiful. All right, cool. Maryann, what you got?
I just got this as a present. Fleetwood Mac's Rumors album, so I'm replaying that and really enjoying it this week.
Yes,
kind of
I love
Fleetwood Mac.
Heck yeah. I love when people fave some like old school music. It just warms me up inside. I love that. Fleetwood Mac, Rumors. Go check it out. Okay, cool. And Will, what do you got?
Well, I just want to say eating a bagel to Fleetwood Mac is probably the cure for everything.
Right.
Can I do a place?
Anything, yeah.
Okay. on topic, there's an incredible organization in LA called Our House Grief Support Center, and they offer grief support and services to people who need it. And it's just an amazing place. Check it out online or yeah, it's a really incredible organization. I've done a little bit of work with them, and they're just awesome. So check them out.
I love it. Let's support local businesses. Let's support people who need grief and therapy. And I think if you're going to eat a bagel and listen to Fleetwood Mac and get some grief support, as well as watch some great animation, you're going to have some nice slippers. So I am favoring, I have 3 pair of these right now. It's Lamo, Lamo. I ordered them. I have 3 pair in my home. I have an outside pair, an inside house pair, and a room. I'm a little obsessed. I've ordered more sweatpants and slippers this pandemic than anything. And I brought them to the office today so I could wear them cozy while I'm doing my show today. So that's what I got. Slippers.
That's
slippers.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's the thing. So before we go, let me say thank you to all of you who watched today. Please go and support our filmmakers and our creatives. This is why we exist. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that exists to elevate brave stories for justice. This film, if anything happens, I love you. It's about justice. It's about hope. It's about healing. It's about people coming together and be able to move toward each other in the midst of extreme tragedy. And it's about putting a stop to harming kids and to harming anybody because of gun control. We want to continue to do this work. Justice, diversity, and inclusion is our mission. And if you go to our website, you can sign up for our e-newsletter. We send out free films, classes on screenwriting, mentoring. We have fiscal sponsorships for emerging filmmakers. We have 5 filmmakers right now that have made films or are making films with our nonprofit. In fact, one of them, Hey Dad, is going to be premiering in about 13 minutes on this very YouTube channel. So Hey Dad is a short film written and directed by Joseph Abitia. He was in our screenwriting workshop in 2019 and 2020. We filmed in the pandemic last year, July, summer, and we've been editing and doing posts and music and all that fun stuff, and it's going to premiere today. We're so excited. If you would like to make a film like Maryann and Will and Michael, we would love to help you. This is why we're here. We're so glad we get to do this work, and thank you so much for supporting us. Christina and I love doing this work every Friday. We are here talking to filmmakers from all around the world, and we hope that we can inspire you too. Will, Michael, Maryann, so great. Congratulations. We will be watching April 25th.
Thanks for having us.
Heck yeah, we're going to watch. We're rooting you on, and we wish you the best. If you want to stay just for one more minute, we'd love to just grab a picture with you. And Christina and I always end the show with this: brave stories change the world.
And you are the story. Goodbye, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.